Hi everyone, this is Jeremiah and welcome to Smart Money. Today we're going to talk about renting versus owning. For most of us, our rent or our monthly mortgage is the highest payments that we're going to make. So this makes the decision of renting or owning a very big decision because it's going to have an impact on our finances over a long period of time. So we want to be particular and strategic with this decision. Some people will be better off renting than owning, but because of the pride of home ownership and also they trying to establish the roots, they tend to own or buy a property. Similarly, some people will be better off owning a property and amassing wealth over time, but because of the flexibility that comes with renting and the less responsibility that is attached to renting a house or an apartment, they prefer to rent. Whenever this topic comes around, there's always a bias towards home ownership, and preferably so because owning a home affects a lot of industries. First of all, it affects the mortgage industry because 99% of the time, anyone who owns a home or buys his first home always goes for a mortgage. Secondly, real estate agents benefits from home ownership. Anytime you buy a property, you are better off hiring a real estate agent to do the transactions for you and the negotiations for you. And thirdly, home improvement stores. They benefit a lot. If you own a house or you're planning on buying a property, remember, one day something is going to break and you're going to go to the home improvement store to buy the material and come and fix whatever that is wrong with your property. Also, sometimes you might also have to hire a contractor to do the repairs for you. So this is a big decision. Home ownership can be a blessing to you and lead you to financial independence. But renting is not a bad thing. It depends on your financial situation. So today, we're going to talk about the pros and cons of renting versus owning. We're going to start with renting. So let's get right into it. Generally, when it comes to renting, if you're planning on living in a neighborhood or a place for less than 10 years, then you're better off renting because of the flexibility that comes with renting. Usually, after your first year lease, you can give your landlord a 30-day notice and you can leave the house or the apartment. Also, the landlord can decide to sell his property and you can also be given a 30-day notice to leave. If you work long hours and you want your weekends to yourself, your evenings to yourself, then you're better off renting. If you want to travel on the weekends, go have fun, go hiking, whatever you want to do on the weekends, if you really want your weekends to yourself, then you might be better off renting. Because when you own a property, you have to do your yard work. You have to cut your grass. If you live in an area where it snows, you have to clear your snow, you have to clear your driveway, and things are going to break in your house and you need to fix them if you're a handyman. And if you're not a handyman, you need to get a contractor to do that for you. So you'll be better off renting if you want your weekends to yourself, if you work long hours and you need time to rest and you don't want to spend time doing yard work and clearing snow and doing maintenance, you are better off renting because all these things will be done by the landlord. I remember when we used to rent, our AC broke. We just had to give the landlord a call and they came by and they fixed it for us. For the most part, your monthly rent is stable, especially if you're in a neighborhood or you're in a town that has rent control. You guarantee that your rent will be stable over a long period of time. But if you live in a neighborhood where there's no rent control and it's a desirable neighborhood, remember that your rent can spike over time, or it can increase steadily over time. When you live in a rent control environment, then you're guaranteed that your rent is not going to spike. And for the most part, your rent is going to be the same for a long time. But when you live in a place where there's no rent control, then expect that your rent might increase steadily. There's a desirable town or place, it can increase rapidly. So these are some of the advantages and disadvantages of renting. When it comes to owning a house, it gives you a sense of stability, the pride of home ownership, the American dream of finally buying a house, and also belonging to a community, especially if you have kids. You know that you're going to be staying in a particular location for a long period of time. So you want a neighborhood that you can raise your kids. And also you want a town that has good schools. Also, there are tax benefits that comes with home ownership. You can deduct a portion of your property tax. And also, you can deduct the interest that you pay on the mortgage. So this reduces your taxable income, thereby you pay less taxes if you itemize. Owning a home can be a channel to build wealth over time, especially if you are planning on paying off your house in less than 10 years. After you finish paying off your house, now the money that you would have used to pay off your mortgage, you can invest that money and build wealth over time this way. Generally, houses appreciate over time if you buy your house in a very good neighborhood. But also remember that houses can depreciate over time. Remember the financial crisis in 2008. Prices of houses, or the value of houses, went down. The value of houses can be stable over time. It all depends on the location. You can buy a house for 100K today, and maybe in the next 30 years, it's still going to be 100K. There's a lot of factors that affect the value of houses. One of the disadvantages of owning is that your property tax increases almost every year, especially if you live in a desirable neighborhood. So that means your expenses is going to change over time. You have to pay for utilities. Usually, utilities are cheaper when you're renting than when you're owning. When you're owning, you have to pay for your own heat. When you're renting, the landlord takes care of the heat in some communities or in some towns. So these are some of the advantages and disadvantages of owning a house. When it comes to renting or owning a house, it all depends on your financial plan for your future. A lot of people say that when you're renting, you are throwing your money through the window. But remember, when you own your house, the first or the early stages of your mortgage or your amortization schedule, most of the money you pay goes towards interest. So there's no equity built over here. So it all depends on your financial plan for your future. So guys, let me know in the comments below if you're planning on buying a house this year or you're going to keep renting. Make sure you share and like this page, and also remember to subscribe. Till we meet again, take care.